Today we're going to be chatting all things morning basket, from what you should include, the general categories, to a ton of different recommendations of great resources. Do you ever have those afternoons where the little one is supposed to be napping and needs a nap so bad, but they're refusing to nap and keep getting out of their room a million times? We're having one of those here, so I've got my baby monitor that I will be glancing at frequently to make sure he's still in his bed, and probably pausing this video a million times to go put him back into bed. But you guys are homeschool moms, I'm sure you understand. If you guys are new here, my name is Chantel, and I run Intentional Homeschooling, which is a blog, and this YouTube channel, and Instagram, which I am kind of there sometimes and kind of not. I have been homeschooling now, this is our 6th year. Break time already. Okay, yes, so we've been homeschooling for 6 years. My oldest is in grade 6. I've got another one in grade 3, and then we are currently fostering and have one little one currently in our house, but technically we're fostering 2. It's a very confusing situation. Anyway, I used to be a teacher and decided I'd prefer to stay home with my kids and teach my own kids instead of teaching other people's kids. And I almost never regret it, minus the odd day here and there. But I love the homeschooling lifestyle, and yeah, I love how much I learn as we go through this journey. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the morning basket, morning time, circle time. It has a million different names. The general idea, what most people do, is have a number of resources in a little basket and kind of go through them throughout the morning, or sometimes the week. They might loop certain things. I am a bit of a rebel at heart, and I don't use a basket right now, and we don't just do it in the morning, and we don't do everything every day. So I'm going to kind of give you a brief idea of what we do. So I've been thinking a lot about our morning time, our morning basket, and I've kind of broken it up into a couple different categories of things that I try to include in our morning basket. And so I'm going to tell you those different categories, and then I'm going to give you a few different awesome resources that we really like, or we're going to try and I think we're going to really like in each of the categories. So the first one that I'm going to be talking about is kind of like Bible, we'll call it Bible time. Then I've got short stories, or longer stories where we read like a chapter a day. Then we've got, I'm going to call them educational but fun resources. I've got really good descriptors here. Then we've got picture books and poetry and games. So there's going to be 6 different categories. And if you've never made a morning basket before, I would not really recommend having something in your basket from all 6 areas, because that might get overwhelming. I would say maybe try sticking to 4. If you want to do 6, go ahead, but just like know that don't try to get to every single thing each day. Okay, so let's just dive in here. We will start with our like Bible time resources. So this looks different in different seasons. I like to change things up. Sometimes we are just reading a chapter of the Bible. Sometimes we use something like the Jesus Storybook Bible. We have a couple other children's Bibles as well, but like pretty much everyone, our favorite is definitely the Jesus Storybook Bible. It's actually been a while since we've gone over this, and even though my kids are definitely like out of the general children's book phase, children's Bible story phase, this book is so different than the other ones. This one talks about, the subtitle is Every Story Whispers His Name. So every story just points to Christ, and yeah, so we love this one. Something that is new to us this year is we're actually finally using one of these Louis Giglio devotionals. This one is How Great Is Our God. I think this is the second one. The first one was Indescribable, and there's another one out. I think it was either just out in September or it's coming out in October. So we've been doing this for this school year. They're very short little devotionals that have something to do with science. And I love that my kids are both learning things about science and learning things about God and the way He created things at the same time. We are really enjoying these. I don't normally enjoy kid devotionals or family devotionals because I feel like they don't really go very deep. And this one doesn't go super deep, but I feel like we're learning multiple different things in one little story. Then this one, actually my daughter is doing on her own this year, but I think if you had kids that were, I don't know, maybe like grade 6 and up, this could be fun to do together. This is It Couldn't Just Happen, Knowing the Truth About God's Awesome Creation. And so it just breaks down different things about creation and how that points to a creator and not something like the Big Bang. She has been really enjoying this actually. She is halfway through chapter 2, and chapter 2 is all about the planets and just different things about how it points to a creator, and she's really enjoying this so far. Something we've done a few years ago together was theology. This is a theology for kids, really. There are how many different... There are 71 different truths about the Bible. And we did this a few years ago with my kids, and I feel like we're at the point now where we're gonna kind of go over it either together again, or I'm gonna get my oldest to go through it on her own as well. So they're just like short little, generally 2 pages, some kind of theology thing, sometimes only 1 page. Yeah, so that is a really good resource as well. So that's all I'm going to share for Bible time. And the next one is kind of like, I don't know what I'll call this, story time? Maybe story time. So I've got some things that are short stories and some stories where we like read a chapter a day kind of thing. So some of the ones we've done in the past, I actually have 2 audiobooks here. These are both from Lamplighter Theater. So we've got The Hedge of Thorns and The White Gypsy. We have gotten a few books from Lamplighter, and their audio dramas are really good. Their stories are really good. They're very vintage. I believe these are like vintage stories that they've kind of redone. And there's always some kind of good moral to the story. We've really enjoyed these. Then a couple years ago we read Little Pilgrim's Progress. We were doing a chapter a day, and this is, I don't know, I thought maybe, even though it is Little Pilgrim's Progress, so it's an adaptation from Pilgrim's Progress, and they've made it kids, and they've made it just, you know, obviously the language easier to understand, but I still thought my kids might be a little bit overwhelmed, and they really enjoyed it. Previously we've done some of this Tales from Shakespeare by Charles and Mary Lamb. So these are retellings of Shakespeare classics, and I think we've only done one of them. We did The Tempest. It was a while ago. It was a little above my kids at the time. They kind of enjoyed it, but it was a little above them. So this is something I'm thinking about picking up again soon. Then earlier this year I got this book, Ben Sings My Soul. These are stories of, how many? 150 of the world's greatest hymns. So you've got the hymn on one side and the story of how the hymn came to be, or something about the author or the writer. And I remember my high school choir teacher using this book, and some of the stories from these hymns really stuck with me. And then I actually bought these 2 books a while ago, and I haven't read them. So I'm thinking maybe we'll get to them this year. So there's Tiger and Tom and Other Stories for Boys, and The King's Daughter and Other Stories for Girls. These are both the 1910 edition. So they're very vintage stories, and I think these were recommended, they're by AB Publishing. I think they were recommended when I went to hear a little bit about Lamplighter Publishing, so I have a feeling it's kind of the same idea. But I haven't read these yet. So there's something that will be up in our morning basket sometime in the future. Okay, next up we've just got like fun educational resources. So I kind of go for, everything in here is history or math or geography, but they're all like really fun. So I actually just picked this up today. This is Horrible Geography Perishing Poles. So it's information about the North and South Poles, but told in a fun and educational way. There's like some different graphics to go with it, and I'm not sure, we haven't read this yet, but I think this will be coming up soon. Then I also picked up this book a long time ago, 101 Cool Hilarious Histories. So it's random true history that is just a little bit out there that will really help stick in a kid's mind. So there's that one. And then I have this bedtime math. I think a lot of homeschoolers have heard of it. They are really cool little stories. So it's just random stories. This one is Who's Faster, the Tortoise or the Hare? And it's hair, like hair that grows on your head. So it's written as a little story, a little paragraph, but then there's questions, and they're broken down to the different kind of like levels. So there's wee ones, little kids, big kids, and bonus, and then the answers are down there. So it's just a kind of fun, ridiculous story with questions that the kids are always eager to answer because the story was so much fun. And then on that same note, I also have How Many Guinea Pigs Can Fit on a Plane. This is similar, but at a higher level. So this one is like, how many gallons of water does it take to put out a fire? And then there's some information there, and then some questions related to it. So same idea. We'll stick on the math theme for now. I got this book a while ago and totally forgot about it. Math Island. I actually got this sent to me by the authors, and it is a story of siblings that are on an island. An unexpected trip takes them, Lily and Tad, to the math adventure of a lifetime. So I think they're stuck on this island and they have to solve math equations to get off, maybe. This now may be a little below my daughter, my oldest, probably about the level of my son, kind of from what I'm glimpsing at. So I think this might be fun to do together. I find even if it is a little below them, that's totally fine, because then the answers come quickly and they have a lot of fun with it instead of stretching and pushing them when this is just supposed to be like a fun activity. And then another math, another math resource. I really like these Greg Tang books. They've got some kind of math rhyme. This one is Red Hot Chili Peppers, and it's all about how many peppers on the town, don't count up or even down. Group the chilies in the square and add the rest and you'll be there. So it tells you different ways to solve different visual problems. So, and then at the back it's got the answers that show you the way that they were asking you to solve them. That's pretty cool. I'll find the answer to the chilies one here. So he has quite a few of these. He's got The Grapes of Math, Math for All Seasons, The Best of Times, and Math Appeal. So I just randomly found this one at a thrift store. I would like to collect all of them if I can find them eventually. And then the last is this You Wouldn't Want to Be a series, the picture books. So this is A Slave in Ancient Greece. So something fun to do is just, to read a chapter or a page or two every day, and they don't get overwhelmed then. But there's a lot of ridiculous information. This is Parted Forever. Becoming a Slave. Okay, so if you were a slave, where your family goes. This is before and after. Your husband used to train horses. Now he mends the roads. Your son used to play outdoors. Now he works inside a potter shop. So there's just all sorts of different information, but shown in a very funny way, I guess. Okay, moving along, let's go to the games next. So we love games in our house. A lot of board gaming happens here, a lot of nerdy board gaming. I'm not getting into that kind of games here. I'm just doing compact, quick little games. So one of the ones my kids really like is Bananagrams. So it's pretty much just individual Scrabble, and you kind of play against players. So it's just creating words with the letters you've been given. That one's fun. Monopoly Deal. If you've been here for a while, you might know of my dislike for the game Monopoly because I played it way too much as a kid. But Monopoly Deal it says 15 minutes. It can take a little bit more than that, but it's not hours on end. And it's just cards, so it's easy to take along, and it's a quick little game, and it's really good for math as well, even though you don't have to just play it forever like the regular Monopoly. Spot It is a really good game for just recognizing different images and speed, and I can't even open it. It's just like child-proof here. Adult-proof. I struggled with that for way too long. So you get a card, and then there's a pile in the middle, and you have to yell out when you find what is the same on your card as the pile in the middle, and then you take the top one from the pile in the middle, and that becomes your new card to look at. So my kids really like that. Then there's Dutch Blitz. This is a retro game, and my kids also like this. We're kind of at the point now where my son can play on his own, but it says ages 8+. I would agree with that. You have to have a lot of speed or else you play in teams for this game. And then Sushi Go is a math card game. So we play this one quite a bit as well. And they're all like fairly quick games, or they can be. So that's nice for the morning basket idea. Just pull out a game one morning and play it, and you're not playing it for hours on end. Okay, let's do picture books right now. I pulled out some different ones. So we have The Complete Brambley Hedge. This is a really cute story. I actually don't hear enough people talking about this book. This is a bind up of, I think, all the Brambley Hedge stories. My daughter loves, like, the image. They're mice, I think. Are they mice? Yeah, they're little mice that live in a hedge, and it's just different stories. So there's like the summer story, the spring story, autumn, winter, secret staircase, the high hills, sea story, and Poppy's babies. And this is very reminiscent of Beatrix Potter's books. So we also have The Great Big Treasury, which is 19 stories of Peter Rabbit and his friends. This one I found thrifting. There's a bind up of all of those. And then in that same vein, I found this one thrifting as well. This is Adventures in the Big Thicket. It's got a cool little map on the inside. And I feel like these are just good little stories to read together as a family, even if your kids are older. I don't know, there's just something about these kind of stories that I think the whole family can enjoy. One of my favorite picture books, and my daughter's as well for this season, is Oxcart Man. This book actually follows the entire season and the entire cycle of life on the farm. But for some reason it just feels like an autumn book, maybe because that's where it starts. So it's about a farmer who in October, he loads up his cart and all the things. It tells you, like, he packed a bag of wool that he sheared from his sheep, packed the shawl his wife wove on a loom, packed all these different things into his cart, and then he goes off and he sells them, and then he comes back and they have to, like, make all the things again. So it's a very good, like, cyclical book, but it's also really good for the autumn season. In the, like, story vein, short story vein, we've got Tales of Hans Christian Andersen. Personally, as an adult, I think Grimm's fairy tales are better, but they're a lot more grim. These tales are much more happier, although that was called The Tinderbox. This is just a book I got thrifting, but there's so many different variations of his stories, I guess, fairy tales. And so fairy tales is a good thing to add into your basket. You could also do some, like, retellings and stuff. Okay, and then we're on to the last section, which is poetry. And we own quite a few poetry books. I've been collecting them from thrift stores for years. And I just grabbed 3 random ones that we enjoy. So we've got A Light in the Attic, because what kind of kid doesn't love silly poetry? Shel Silverstein, any of his poems, any of his books, the kids love. And, like, his illustrations too. They're very ridiculous poems. See if I can find one that my kids love. We actually have 2 copies of this book. This is the nice one, and the other one is the used one. That is not so nice. But they have, like, all their favorites bookmarked. Oh yeah, okay, this one. This is Something Missing. A guy forgot to put on his pants, and they think that's hilarious. Of course. While we're talking about poetry, I should actually mention too, we are currently studying, I don't know if studying is the right word, but we're reading a bunch of Robert Frost poems right now, and Ambleside Online has quite a few poems on their website. I'll leave a link below, at least to the Robert Frost ones. I think they have compilations of other people's works as well. Anyway, another one we have here is, I really like the Poetry for Young People series. This is the only one I've been able to find thrifting so far. This is Lewis Carroll, and it's just a bunch of his poems. My kids have some favorites in here as well. And then the complete book of Flower Fairies. This is one that I feel like maybe isn't talked about enough because it's very seasonal. It's broken down into the 4 seasons. You have the flower fairies of spring, summer, autumn, winter. Then there's the garden, trees, wayside, and flower fairy alphabet. And it's so good to go for your season. And they've got, like, different poems of different plants that are prominent in that season, I guess, and the fairies that take care of them. Yeah, so I really like this book, but I feel like I don't see it enough. Okay, now I think I mentioned everything I was going to. It was a lot of disruptions because I had to run upstairs and put the little guy to bed a bunch more times, and he's still not sleeping. He's just tossing and turning. So I grabbed this basket that I have. I wanted to show, so right now I guess we're not really studying any of these poets. Or here, I'll put this in here. The Complete Flower Fairies. That is something that I want to be reading this autumn. The Big Thicket is also something I want to be reading this autumn. Put that in there. We are currently reading How Great Is Our God. A game we haven't played in a while. It's been a while since we played Spot It. I'll put that in there. I'm making my basket right now. Which math or educational book should I choose? Maybe we'll try Math Island because we haven't done this before. So the chapters in this one, ooh, they're a little long. I don't want to do that one right now. Maybe we'll go to Bedtime Math. My kids always like this book. And one longer book that we can read. Let's start with one of these. I don't really care which one, so I'll close my eyes and I will pick this one. Okay, The King's Daughter and Other Stories for Girls. I just maybe won't read the title out to my son when I read the stories. Or we could alternate. We could do one week we'll do one from here and the next week we'll do one from here. There we go, that's what we'll do. So just like that, we have a morning basket. So like I said, you don't have to do all of these every day. The devotional I'm trying to do every school day. The bedtime math, that doesn't take very long. I can easily do that every day. But then some of these other things, they might only happen like once or twice a week. Flower fairies, we could read a poem a day, or one day we could read like 4 of them. It's all very flexible in our homeschool. And I feel like, you know, this idea of a morning basket, you just go ahead and take it and run with it and make it work for you and your homeschool and your family. So if you do a morning basket or you're thinking about doing one in the future, please let me know some of your favorite things that you've included in the past, some things your kids have loved, some things you want to include in the future that you think they're gonna love. I would love to hear about it. And seriously, I think the toddler just fell asleep, like he stopped moving now. He just waited till I was done this video. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.